I need y'all to like the video. Comment if you want, but turn your post notifications on so you know the next time I drop. All right, up next, we have Black women being laid off astronomically. They're facing the most evictions, and they're being laid off because they're rolling back DEI. And so we have, a young lady. I don't know if she's young. She's giving her opinion about it.
So I made a video yesterday about the rising unemployment rates amongst Black women, and the response that I got was definitely very alarming. There were a lot of negative comments, and most of these comments were really coming from Black men who were saying things like it's because Black women have bad attitudes, it's because DEI, it's because AI is taking over, and many of which just miss the whole thing. Like, who cares? Nobody cares. It's time for Black women to be taken down a notch.
I want you to notice, and this is one of the biggest things that's wrong with our women, because they do need to be taken down a notch. They don't understand the value of the instruction or the information as to why things are the way that they are, so that if you take in what's being said, you can make the corrective action and ultimately improve what it is that's going on in your life, instead of just coming on the internet and complaining about it. So her perspective is just the general consensus of most Black women, where her perspective is that she's being attacked, when in fact she's being protected through instruction, but she don't see it that way. Keep going though.
And it was really alarming, because the point of me posting that statistic was to get us to think critically about what's really happening. But instead,
which is what they're doing. That's why they're commenting like that. These are the critical thoughts. Y'all attitude sucks. You got to fix that. They rolling back DI. You got to fix that. You can't go under that veil anymore. AI is a big thing, so you need to get acclimated with that. That you got to look into that AI thing. This is the critical thought. Let's keep going.
A lot of the comments were really more mean and almost conspiracy theory type comments. And so I really want to talk about it. So let's look solely at the numbers, because numbers are where we can at least hang our hat on and look at things quantitatively. So when we look at the American labor force or workforce, we see that it pretty closely mirrors the distribution by race of the American population. So what do I mean by that? So the American population, as of 2024, is comprised of 58% white, 19% Hispanic, 13% Black, 7% Asian. When we look at the workforce, you have a similar distribution of race. So in the workforce, with the exception that Hispanic and whites are often lumped into a single category. But when we look at the workforce, the total workforce, you'll find 74% is white and Hispanic, so it's combined, 13% Black or African American, and then 7% Asian. Now, where it gets interesting is when we move into the STEM workforce, you'll see that there is a little bit of a disparity, amongst Black Americans. So what you'll find once you move into the STEM workforce, you'll find that 64% of all workers in STEM are white, and then you'll find that 15% are Hispanic, 10% are Asian, even though they represent 7% of the workforce. And then you'll find that African Americans are 9% in the STEM workforce, although they represent 13% overall in the overall workforce. So you can see that there is, clearly a disparity there. That same, distribution does not carry over into the STEM industry. Then when you pair that with other data that highly suggests that Black people are more likely to be overrepresented in service type roles, or what's considered to be low paying, medium skill or semi-skilled or no skill positions, like bus driving, postal worker, home health aide. When you look at that statistic, then it helps you understand and put into context what may be happening here. So we can say real quick or very quickly that it's unlikely that AI is the cause for a lot of the unemployment that we're seeing, because again, by and large, African Americans that are working in the workforce are by and large working in non-technical, semi-skilled, low-paying positions.
Here's the problem with what it is that she's trying to convey, right? The reality is the men are telling you what is about to happen or is happening. She's looking at the past and trying to figure out what's going on, and there's things that are happening in real time that you need to be aware of when it comes to why you're losing in the workforce.
And so these positions are not necessarily, they're service-based, so they're not necessarily being taken over by AI. AI is not driving buses. AI is not taking care of people in nursing homes, etc. So when we look at that, we realize that there is an abundance of individuals or Black Americans who don't necessarily have the skill sets to compete with higher paying jobs. And so more importantly, when you see higher unemployment rates, you know that the group of people that are going to be hit, hardest by this with respect to higher unemployment rates amongst Black women are going to be those Black women who are working in non-STEM field.
Most of the jobs, it's the government. The government hires a lot of Black women. And so there was just a study the other day where unemployment went down, but Black women's unemployment went up because I think it was like over 100,000 of them got fired because they started to roll back DEI, and there's no need to really have them in those roles, especially because of their attitudes and how uncomfortable they make office life.
So what does it all mean? I can't necessarily tell you what it all means. I can't tell you who's replacing, some of these low end positions and where those positions are going. What I can tell you is that, again, these service-based positions that have typically been occupied by Black Americans, AI is not taking over. So with that in mind, we need to then think critically, like, okay, so what is happening?
When you go to Walmart, it's not a clerk on every aisle. There's a whole section where one clerk monitors the whole section where you check yourself out.
And so what can we do to mitigate? How can we improve, our numbers in terms of employment rate? How can we improve our numbers in terms of pay and the types of jobs that we work? And one interesting thing before we answer that is, we can sort of look at the Chinese women as an example. Chinese women, I think, are a perfect example because there's some semblance between, I'll say their struggle and sort of the woman's struggle here in the United States. And what you'll find in China is that, by and large, women in the workforce work in jobs that are technical, that are manufacturing based positions. And so I think there's quite a bit that
is absolutely untrue. Women typically work in humanities. They love to work in things dealing with people.
Women certainly, but particularly African American women who are now impacted greater disproportionately by unemployment rates. I think there's something to be learned there that, having a highly skilled or specialized skill, it can almost assure future employment. And so, not integrating and equating, AI into this, because that's a separate conversation. AI certainly has made leaps and bounds, but there's still a ways to go. Before we can really talk about it replacing jobs. I've got some other theories, and I'll post some other things about AI not necessarily replacing, but merging jobs. But let's set all of that aside, and let's really consider.
This is how AI is going to replace people. It's the same thing that they did with the grocery store clerk. Instead of you needing, 12 clerks on the aisle, you only need 4 to monitor the AI. That's it. So it's going to condense the job market dramatically.
The idea that, gaining more skills, specialized skills, is a great way to reduce, the unemployment rates amongst any group. And so we can set aside biases, racism, and things of that nature, and let's simply just look at, skill set and acquiring the necessary skill sets to be able to compete with more high in demand jobs that are harder, for basically to be removed, if you will. And so these are the type of conversations that I was hoping that we would have. This is the type of analytical thinking that I was hoping we would engage in. And certainly this isn't a full span of everything that's happening, but I wanted to at least address some of the comments. Certainly there are women out there, Black women, all kinds of women that, may not have the best attitude, that may not dress as professionally as they should, who do not lack the skill set. But I want us to think critically about what we can do, what's happening, and not, tear each other down with these very derogatory and demeaning comments around, nobody cares about Black women's unemployment or their attitudes, and we're better off without. Like, this is not constructive conversation, in my opinion. I think we all win as a society when our unemployment rates are at its lowest, or at the lowest it can be. So anyway, my take on it, just wanted to share that. And, drop a comment and let me know what you think.
Long story short, if you don't agree with what she's saying, then you're attacking her. Black women overwhelmingly are known to have the shittiest customer service. It's just a fact. And so if we say that, it's an attack, but you have to look at reality. The criticism is constructive. We're not saying it because we don't like you or we hate you. We're trying to help you to become successful at what it is that you're trying to do. And the one thing you need to work on and hold each other accountable about is them shitty ass attitudes you give the world.
You want it more? You want it more? No! Oh my God!
I like their videos, man. I watch a lot of their content. They really have some funny stuff.
To see my dad, because my dad was schizophrenic.
Is he not anymore?
No.
Or is he? What is it? Why was he's cured?
Yeah, he cured.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't, forgive my ignorance, I didn't know you could cure schizophrenia.
Oh, well, that's the thing
it?
of the universe. Like, humans can treat it, but the universe can cure it. God can cure it.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Tell me everything.
He died.
Death cures all. That's a morbid way of looking at things. Factual, but morbid.
Fucking worried about how I'm parked? Yeah. You should be worried about putting some goddamn shoes on your feet, not eating those big ass fucking king size goddamn Reese's. You got on the Powerhouse gym shirt, but it don't look like you're doing nothing that got to do with goddamn Powerhouse. And you fucking coming over here knocking on my window. Look at that fucking smile on the back of your head, fat ass neck.
Boy, she cooked his ass, boy.
I always say this. Emotions are to be managed, not acted on.
I love when you said, yeah.
And what happens is when we start acting on feelings, because feelings go up and down, we start making decisions that don't have a solid foundation because ain't no fact. So every decision that I make now, I do my best that when I'm making a decision now, I slow down.
That statement alone can really identify the exact reason why the Black community is in disarray the way it is right now. Because women mostly operate off of how they feel about things. And so if they don't have a man that they trust and revere to ground them with logic, they just go off on how they feel through life. And so that leads to a lot of calamity and a lot of destruction. Now, imagine that way of thinking, that worldview where it's all based off of how you feel, raising a generation of children by themselves. What gets imparted on those children is their inability to be able to regulate yourself, regulate your emotions, and to trust your emotions and let your feelings guide your decision making. But if you take into consideration what he just articulated, very masterfully, might I say, emotions, feelings are meant to be managed, not acted upon. So now we have a generation of people, both men and women, acting upon their emotions. What does that look like? It looks like death and destruction in the streets. Our youth killing each other, drill music.
You think it's so funny? Here, pick up the bowl. I can't pick it up. That bowl. Renee, are you serious?
Darn bow is like stuck to the cabinet.
What?
Like it's stuck.
Oh shit.
What do you mean it's stuck? Try to do it. Kylie! I don't know what's going on. I really can't get this off.
It's on the legs. On the tip. Hey, what?
Yes.
Good gracious.
I was trying to make some bread and now I can't get the bowl off the counter.
Chill.
Like I kept trying, but
Yeah, I see it.
Man, people are really that dumb. Nah, I'd probably fall for it too. In case you missed it, your boy Google, and then put in what he was searching for. Man, the youth is cooked, boy.
Here's the problem. Okay, the way that you're running this, I can already tell is shit. Okay? People do what they want around here. No, they listen to me. These people they have to go. No, the house.
Yeah, there's a lot of people down there just fucking around.
But they have to. Watch this. Was you're fired. I want you to get off the walkie, and I want you to give it to somebody else that's capable of doing this fucking job. You hear me? Because it's not you. Huh?
Why you think it's a joke though? Kevin is actually right, because a lot of times when you're trying to run a business and you bring friends along, you get too chummy with the people you working with, they get real lackadaisical. And if you want your business to thrive, it really like determines on the people that are part of it, you know, like the people that work and make it up. God damn. Woo.
The FDA just approved new medication for lesbians with depression.
Don't. Just don't.
It's called Tricoxagen. Oh my God!
Hey, why you playing? A lot of them down low lesbians, you know, they be doing that on the side. They be having a little dude on the side for real.
Everybody shut the fuck up. Hey, shut the fuck up. Let me tell you something right now.
I need y'all to like the video. Comment if you want, but turn your post notifications on so you know the next time I drop. And if you like this video, check out the one that we just dropped about a welfare queen complaining about people being happy that they lose food stamps. I mean, she was kind of going in, so y'all check that out.